What is sufficient versus adequate consideration in contracts? Imagine you're making a deal with someone. You want to know if what you're exchanging is enough to make the contract binding. That's where the idea of consideration comes into play. Consideration is what each person gives or promises to give in a contract. It could be money, services, goods, or even a promise to do or not do something. For a contract to be enforceable, there needs to be consideration from both sides. Sufficient consideration means the value exchanged is recognized by the law, no matter how small or big it is. It doesn't have to be equal or fair, just something of legal value. For example, if a person agrees to pay $50 for a service that normally costs $500, the $50 is still enough. The law sees it as a valid exchange because it involves a legal detriment to one party and a benefit to the other. Adequate consideration, however, looks at whether the exchange is fair or reasonable. It asks if the value is proportional to what is received. But here's the key point. Courts usually don't care if the deal is fair or if one side got a better bargain. As long as the consideration is enough to be legally recognized, the contract stands. For example, if someone sells a piece of land worth $50,000 for just $1,000, the consideration is sufficient. The law doesn't require the price to match the market value to make the contract valid. This difference is important in business law because it affects how contracts are formed and enforced. Businesses only need to ensure that what they exchange is legally sufficient. They don't need to worry about whether the deal is perfectly fair or equal. As long as both sides agree to exchange something of legal value, the contract is valid. In real life, this means a company can pay an employee a small amount to sign a non-compete agreement. The payment and the promise not to compete are enough consideration, even if the amount is low. Or a business can sell goods for less than their market value, and the contract will still be enforceable as long as the consideration is sufficient. To sum up, sufficient consideration is what the law requires for a contract to be valid. Adequate consideration is about fairness, which courts usually do not enforce unless there is evidence of fraud or unfair pressure. This system allows businesses to create contracts with flexibility, focusing on the exchange of something of legal value rather than its fairness.